And now, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And welcome to the Consumer Quarterback Show, all about helping you understand your buying decisions right here in Tampa Bay and the Gulf Coast region of Florida and beyond through our reach through Keller Williams. We can reach worldwide as well with that. But we've got a great lineup for you on the program today. We got Nate Ginter. He's the Chief Technology Officer at Vine IT. He always brings in some great stories. So we're going to talk about this crypto crash, stablecoin collapse, sends tokens tumbling, and also a little bit about Disney and their better than expected streaming growth. We've got Frank Charles Miranda as well, Frank Miranda Law Firm, FCMLaw.com, and Anthony Rickman in the house as well, the Rickman Law Firm, criminal defense expert here in Tampa Bay. Going to talk about that and different stories that we've talked about, kind of a recap on some of the different lawsuits and things happening out there, cases rather, happening out there as well. And we like to give a shout out to Chad Irrigation. Victor and his team with Chad Irrigation do a great job here in Tampa Bay for all things irrigation and sprinkler systems. Victor, Chad Irrigation does a great job, firsthand experience with them, and they are a first-class organization. Talk to Victor and his team. All of our listings as well. We like to feature our listings on the program. And we help our sellers profit more and sell faster, utilizing our innovation with radio, TV, and internet marketing. We got a hot property listing here at 14663 Village Glen Drive in Carrollwood. This is a beautiful property in Carrollwood Village. It's renovated, updated, beautiful home. 2 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, 1,951 square feet, Carrollwood Village. Gorgeous, completely updated and renovated property here. We got a pool, kitchen, outdoor, screen pool with a hot tub as well. Master bath, features jacuzzi tub, sauna, and tanning bed. Gourmet-style kitchen was designed by a local restaurateur. 14663 Village Glen Drive in Tampa Bay. And you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
Anthony Rickman in the house. Welcome back.
Brandon, thanks for having me back.
My pleasure, man. So I thought we might run down like some of these different lawsuits out there, different cases rather, that's out there. Because I was just telling someone about the Alec Baldwin case, and has he been charged yet?
No, and quite frankly, I don't think he will be. I mean, when you look at Alec Baldwin, when you look at what happened in that particular circumstance, did he have reason to believe that firearm was loaded? And in his mind, he'd argue he didn't. He was handed what he believed to be an empty weapon. And obviously, the first rule of gun safety is if you have to treat every weapon as if it's loaded. Yeah. And what he should have done, he should have checked the firearm. Should have checked to make sure that there were no bullets in the chamber. Make sure that there were no live rounds in the gun before pointing at anybody. Before pointing that trigger. And obviously, he didn't do it. Yeah. But to prove that crime of culpable negligence, to prove that crime of manslaughter, you have to prove that he acted so willful, so wanton, with reckless disregard for life, that one would foresee his actions would reasonably likely result in death of another. Yeah. That's a very high standard. Criminal law doesn't punish pure accidents. Yeah. That's not what criminal law was created for. And in that particular case, the argument is that, look, it was a pure accident. That based upon all his years of being on movie sets, he was on Pearl Harbor, he did all these different movies. They had, he knows how to operate what's called a prop gun or a real weapon, because in movies you do use real weapons. And based upon all his experience, he had no reason to believe it was loaded. Right. Although he should have checked. Yeah. That failure to check may have been negligent. I don't think there's any doubt his actions were negligent. But the question is, were his actions culpably negligent? Right. Should he have known? Did his actions amount to basically a reckless or willfully wanton act? Right. And we see it a lot in these accidental discharge cases. I had one very recently where my client, unfortunately was involved in a circumstance with a roommate at USF, and they were both demonstrating with a gun that hadn't been loaded. Oh, man. And, they were both actively participating in this demonstration where, I have a knife, you have a gun, who can draw first? Yeah. And unfortunately, although my client checked the gun and believed it was unloaded, it was loaded. He missed it. Wow. And it resulted in the discharge killing his roommate and friend. Oh. And, those cases are horrible. They're tragic. In that case, my client was looking at, 15 years. We worked out a plea agreement for much less. But But at the end of the day, it's a tough standard to prove.
Right.
And when you look at those circumstances, compared to the circumstance of Alec Baldwin, where he's handed the gun, given the gun, look, he was completely negligent.
Right.
No doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
But was he criminally negligent?
Right.
And that's a much higher standard of negligence than an auto accident.
Seems like probably not. Like he'd done that many, many times. He probably expected the prop person to hand him the gun with the blank in it.
Yeah.
And
well, look, it's the same thing as we get in an accident in the roadway. You're going 65 in a 50.
Yeah.
And you get in an accident. You're at fault. You are negligent. That's a criminal issue. You get sued. You're going to get a call from the lawyer. You're getting sued. You were speeding. But if you're doing 110 on that same road and you hit somebody, that's manslaughter because you acted with culpable negligence.
And that's what happened at the Bayshore. Bayshore happened, and there was one that happened right downtown over the little bridge over there.
Yeah. Intimately familiar with both of those cases.
That's right. Okay.
So I represented one of the defendants in the Bayshore case.
Yeah.
And, in that particular case, there were two theories of prosecution. One is they were racing. Mm-hmm. And if two people are involved in a race and an innocent third party is killed, both racers can be charged with manslaughter, even though only one of them actually hit her.
Right.
It's under what's called the principal theory. You and I go to the bank, you walk into the bank, you rob the bank, and I drive the getaway car. Right. We both acted in concert in committing that offense.
Right.
That's the first standard. Then the second theory was the reckless driving, that they were both driving recklessly in a manner likely to cause death or serious bodily injury, and that death did occur.
Yeah.
And that's where you have those two potential standards in those cases like this. And we see it all the time in vehicular homicide cases where a traffic ticket turns into a criminal charge once law enforcement gets the black box. They determine the speed of the vehicle, they determine the activity of the vehicle, and then they go ahead and charge you criminally.
Yeah. Wow. We're talking with Anthony Rickman here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, the Rickman Law Firm right here in Tampa Bay, local business owner, local business right here in Tampa Bay. Support the local economy by supporting the Consumer Quarterback Show and our contributors here, therickmanlawfirm.com, online at therickmanlawfirm.com. And yeah, what other, we'd also had, maybe there's a follow-up to the serial killer.
Yes, we talked about that. There's no trial date been set. We know that the court is now allowing what's called Williams Rule evidence in, meaning similar fact evidence. The judge is allowing the jury, well, originally the judge wasn't, but the appeals court reversed it, and now is allowing the jury to hear evidence of every uncharged crime, all those other uncharged murders, in each individual case. So essentially, we have murder one, you can bring the first homicide, you can bring in the second, third, and fourth homicide into evidence in the first homicide case to show prior scheme, common scheme or plan, modus operandi. Basically, the argument is same gun, same location, same general time, same proximity.
Yep.
You can use all this evidence, accumulated essentially, not to prove propensity, not to prove you did all these things so you had to do this, but to prove some other purpose, motive, identity, common scheme or plan. And the court's going to allow that. A trial date hasn't been set yet in that particular case. I would anticipate sometime around December, sometime winter, we'll see that case actually go to trial.
Yeah, that to me makes a lot of sense. You've got all these different, additional factors that add up. Like you said, similar gun, similar time of day. Maybe he approached from the back or whatever. Snuck up on the client or the victim.
Well, it's a very fine line. You can't in our court system. You're supposed to judge the facts in the case as you see them before you. You can't say because this guy is always acting in this manner, he acted like this in this particular case. That's called propensity evidence.
Okay.
The only time you really get into what's called prior bad act evidence, if it's used for some other purpose, to show the commonality, to show the scheme, to show the identity or motive, as opposed to just saying, hey, he did all these other things, he did this too.
Right.
At the end of the day, juries are going to be asked to walk that fine line, but really, what are they going to do? They're going to see this mountain of evidence.
Right.
They're going to hear about all these other homicides.
Right.
And they're going to say, hey, did he do it here? Well, look at all the evidence. He did all these other ones.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. And then, what do you think about the trend also with the crime? I mean, we still got crime. We got open southern border crime in all these different municipalities. You got the Roe versus Wade. They're telling people to go and go ahead and demonstrate at their homes.
Well, and you see,
it's scary.
Well, yeah, it's very, and it's extremely. Are we moving back into where we were last summer or 2 summers ago?
Right.
Where now we had that the summer of the anti-police, the anti-protest, the anti-police protests. Are we now going to see another summer of what we experienced based upon Roe versus Wade? And what's funny is that we have Julian Assange and all the people in jail, WikiLeaks, and all these people because he leaking secrets, but no one's concerned with how the Supreme Court ruling got out.
Right.
Everyone's all concerned about the ruling, but where's the media? Where's the press on
Right.
on the person who leaked this opinion?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the Supreme Court is the most secretive, and there's a sanctity of the court that was riled by a left-wing conspirator, most likely, who got that opinion and leaked it.
Yep.
I mean, where is the talk of let's go find the person who's leaked this opinion? Because the Supreme Court is supposed to be void of political influence, void of that influence. Even Ginsburg talked about it, and now we see a leak of a very important opinion, and we see already the outcry and the political ramifications it has. And quite frankly, most people who are upset about it haven't even read the opinion. Yeah. They don't know what it stands for. They don't know what it says. It doesn't eliminate abortion. It basically says it's a state right opinion.
Right.
It's a state right issue. It doesn't get rid of Roe versus Wade. It basically says it's up to the individual states, and we as a court shouldn't legislate.
Right.
And now we are seeing, already before the opinion's even released, what's going on in the communities.
Yeah.
And I fear, is this going to be another circumstance where we have protests? And Governor DeSantis with that anti-protest bill, we're going to see it enforced potentially over the summer.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the playbook, right? It's they will allow that to happen. They'll have these protests, and then there will be no arrest, and it'll be a double standard like always, and the intimidation factor. So they're going to send out all the goons, the Antifa and those types of folks are coming out. And by the way, I want to get your comment too. If you've seen, I don't know if you've seen Rig 2020 or 2,000 Mules. I've seen them both. Rig 2020 is about the Zucker boxes and the $500 million he put into the elections, and then also the Dinesh D'Souza film documentary 2,000 Mules. It's similar to that because you got Fox News not interviewing or talking about it, and you got Newsmax not interviewing or talking about it. And by the way, Salem Media, I'm proud to say, Salem Media is the ones who funded that and put that together. Charlie Kirk and all the Dennis Prager, Larry Elder, all the show hosts were involved as well.
Well, look, we see selective release of things. We see selective coverage, and we've seen that throughout history. I mean, it's not something new. We see the Clintons treated differently, Biden's treated differently than the Trumps. I mean, if and that's just I hate to say it, but we come to expect it now, and we shouldn't come to expect it. It should be a free and open press, and that means that equal coverage on everything across the board.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It should definitely be that way. And then you look at like the Rittenhouse case. I mean, this poor guy, he was guilty in the public mind and the media's mind before it even came out. I mean, luckily for those cameras, otherwise he would have been probably pushed into that decision of a guilty decision. Without
a doubt. At the end of the day, you had Biden, you had people talking about and convicting this kid before it went in front of a jury. And that's we have a problem with our system is that, the publicity of cases, the public outcry, a lot of times it's out there to influence juries.
Right.
And luckily, in most cases, in my experience, the jury gets it right.
Yeah.
That they look at the facts, they focus on the law, and they make the determination on what they see in front of them.
Yeah.
And in the Rittenhouse case, there were so many people out there ready to convict him, so many people who still want to convict him.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, what he did was legal and was justified.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the jury made the right decision in acquitting him.
That's right. Absolutely. We're talking with Anthony Rickman here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, the Rickman Law Firm, online at therickmanlawfirm.com. I'm your host, Brandon Bryan. So we're kind of recapping some of these different cases.
Well, we haven't talked about the slap heard around the world. The Will Smith slap.
Oh, yeah.
As a criminal defense attorney, I will tell you, I have represented clients who have done so much less in charge of battery than what Will Smith did. I mean, when you look at that, that's a battery. There's a battery that occurred on national TV.
Yep.
I know Chris Rock didn't want to prosecute. I deal with it all the time in domestic violence cases where you have a husband and wife in an argument. Somebody calls the police come to the house. They say, hey, look, we were just having an argument. Well, what happened? Well, he put his hands on me. You're going to jail. Why? Well, because he touched me. That's a battery. And what you see there, again, is that selective prosecution or what law enforcement wants to do versus what the prosecutors want to do.
Yeah.
And on that particular case, I've represented people accused and charged of less and were prosecuted for less.
Yeah.
And then we look at Dave Chappelle. We talk about he was attacked on stage by somebody with a weapon, and the prosecutor, who was a progressive, liberal George Soros prosecutor, refused to prosecute the guy who attacked Dave Chappelle on stage. He had a weapon. He had a knife, a fake gun with a knife blade on it.
Jeez.
And Dave Chappelle wanted to prosecute it.
Yeah.
And the prosecutor chose not to do it. So, we have a system where, the laws are there, they're in place, they're not being enforced or they're being selectively enforced.
Yeah, selectively, double standard, whatever you want to call it. We see it over and over again. And there was a story that I saw. It was, I forget if it was in Missouri or whatnot, but it was a white bar owner had this situation outside, went out fight. Of course, went out inside and he got jumped, and then he pulled a gun and shot, and it was an African American. So the whole thing played out, and it was a clear-cut case of self-defense, but the whole thing got blown up. And so depending on where you live, who the prosecutor is, and how the politics lean, are depending on how safe you are, especially as a Caucasian these days. I mean, it's almost like a reverse discrimination type of situation.
Well, when you look at it, just being charged with a crime has the stigma.
Yes.
Let's say down the road you're acquitted. Let's say down the road you're found not guilty. You can't unring the bell. We see the Grady Judd press conferences. We see what a lot of these sheriffs and people do, but they're innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
And unfortunately in our society, when you put it out there, when you have these individuals arrested without justification, arrested for political gain or for whatever reason it is, you can't get back those words that are said. You can't take back those articles.
Right.
At the end of the day, we get the charges dropped, acquitted, the state doesn't file the charge, get the mugshot removed, great, the record expunged. You can't take back the news article.
Yeah.
You can't take back the opinions of people that they've already developed well before you were found guilty or not guilty in front of a jury.
And look at the Durham report, what that showed. Look what they did to Trump for 6 years. I mean, it's unbelievable. And that was the media narrative for the whole time. MSNBC and CNN. That's what they did the whole time.
Well, that's it. And you look at Rittenhouse. Ultimately, despite all the horrible things that were said about this kid, he's a murderer, he's a racist, he's all these things. Mm-hmm. A jury was able to look at the evidence and find him not guilty. And that's what's great about our legal system. Yeah. Is that at the end of the day, in the majority of cases, you're getting 6 or 12 people who usually get it right.
Right.
And they're sitting together, talking about it, analyzing the evidence. At the end of the day, it's up to the government to prove this case and all the cases beyond a reasonable doubt. And I deal with it all the time. People accused over allegations. That's all it is. It's an allegation. Without evidence, without proof, that's all it is.
All right, buddy. How can people find you?
You can find me at therickmanlawfirm.com, 813-999-0502. Handle all types of cases, anything from federal to state court, anything from DUI to homicide.
Awesome. Good stuff. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Emmy.
Appreciate it. All right, taking a quick break there. When we come back, more on the Consumer Quarterback Show, plus a feel-good story of the day. U.S. Coast Guard is creating a new university program in Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you've been listening to the phenomenal Brandon Rhymes, the Consumer Quarterback Show.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
Selling commercial or residential property? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rhymes. Reach me at 813-670-7372 or platinummvpteam.com. Have you desired more income and more freedom in your life? Now is your time. Keller Williams Realty has just launched our own real estate school, and you can get licensed for free. I'm Brandon Rhymes, host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, owner of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. And for the first 3 people who reach out, I will personally coach you. 813-917-1894. Call or text 813-917-1894. ConsumerQB.com. ConsumerQB.com.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty, helping you win in any marketplace. And we love to feature our listings on the show, help our sellers profit more and sell faster. We got a property here in Tampa Bay. This one is 4220 West Pearl Avenue in South Tampa. Gorgeous property, commercial opportunity at 4220 West Pearl. Listing has a 1,200 square foot building on it, so you got a little small office there. a great opportunity to relocate your business. Maybe you've got a contractor business, landscape business, and excavating business. Great opportunity. 4220 West Pearl Avenue in Tampa. Beautiful property listing, mixed use, over a half an acre lot. Right here in beautiful South Tampa, 3008 North Nebraska Avenue. We got a property here that is a professional office building in Seminole Heights. It's in an opportunity zone. Owner is motivated. 3008 North Nebraska Avenue. Beautiful property as well. Looks great on the interior, completely updated. Beautiful paint on the inside, neutral colors. Got a kitchen as well. 3,600 square foot building, 3008 North Nebraska Avenue here in beautiful Tampa Bay. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, we got Nate Ginter in the house, Chief Technology Officer at Vine IT. And Nate, I always love the notes. You come prepared. You got some great notes here. So we got a crypto crash happening. It says stablecoin collapse sends tokens tumbling.
Yes, indeed. So always good to be here, by the way, Brandon. You know, I love our conversations. So what a stablecoin is, everybody's heard of Bitcoin. So it's that, kind of digital currency you can use for paying for things or transferring, value online.
Yep.
And what a stable coin is a one of those types of things. It's not exactly a Bitcoin, but it's that same concept that tethers itself supposedly to the U.S. dollar standard. Mm-hmm. And what happened was one of the larger ones had its token all of a sudden massively decline in value, and they weren't able to pump it up the way that they normally do. So it actually lost value, even though it's a quote-unquote stable coin. Any bad news in the industry always ricochets across everything. Bitcoin had been at a high of about $70,000, and it has now dropped down to $27,000. Now, that may seem crazy, and that is a large value swing, to be sure. Mm-hmm. But what is interesting is if we were having this conversation 10 years ago, when Bitcoin was worth about $100 a piece, we would be going, my God, it's at 27,000? Good Lord.
Right, exactly.
So it's the crypto market. It's the Wild West out there, and it is. The Treasury Department responded as Treasury Department is wont to do by saying, of course, we need to look into this product, as they call it. And that's why there's a need for strong regulation, because as we all know, nobody can keep your dollar safe like the U.S. Treasury.
Yeah, the federal. Oh man, they do such a great job, don't they? Printing after printing after printing.
I mean, that dollar I made in high school is really stretched very, very thin today.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah, they're legal counterfeiters up there. It's a challenge for a lot of people, especially the middle class, that low to mid income. Those earners are hurting bad. The real wages. You talk about a real wage, right? The real wage is down. You're working harder just to tread water, and it's just a challenge for those people. I mean, I can imagine, if you got a husband, wife, maybe making, somewhere in the 30s, 32,000, 38,000. I mean, they've been hit very hard over the last 18 months.
Oh, that poverty line is ever climbing, and right. The crazy thing is that it never goes the other way.
Right.
You might see a temporary quarter where there's a value here or there that looks like it's going, but if you look year over year, it never seems like, I'm getting a little more for my money than I did last year. That gas is a couple cents cheaper. That trend over time is always upwards.
So what do you think about the Bitcoin in terms of crypto crash? What does that really mean for people?
Bitcoin's the safest one. It's a bellwether of a couple of things, and I think you see the stock market actually falling along some of the same trends, not as severe, but it is a sign of downtick. So I see it as, everybody talks about different markets cooling. I see that as commodities markets and, things like stocks. I put stocks and cryptocurrency a lot of times, depending on the specific one, but the general idea is sort of in the same sort of ballpark. It's a confidence meter, really, mm-hmm. in how things are going. And, so I think I love real assets in a time like this, and, not having to worry so much about the technological ones.
Real estate.
Always.
Buy real estate.
I just bought a house myself.
There you go. All right, taking a quick break. When we come back, more with Nate Ginter here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. He's the Chief Technology Officer at Vine IT, online at vineit.com. Coming up, Disney sees better than expected streaming growth and best MS Office 365 backup solutions here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Five, four, three, two, one.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes, Consumer Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty. And we like to feature our real estate listings live on air. We're a top 100 ranked real estate team here in Tampa Bay. Keller Williams Sports and Entertainment division now, as well as the luxury and commercial divisions at Keller Williams here in Tampa Bay, a top 100 team. And we like to help you sell faster for more money. Got a property at 1211 Parsons Avenue. This is a professional office space. Got an office for sale in Brandon, Valrico area, 1211 Parsons Avenue. This is a beautiful property, completely renovated, gorgeous property. You've got ample parking, almost 2,200 square feet. Got a remodeled business building here. 12 treatment rooms, doctor's offices, updated desk and reception area, and a business is on a major road as well. Great opportunity for medical, dentist office, chiropractor, professional office spaces, and more. And you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Somewhere sunny and 75.
All right. Back here with Nate Yenter in the house. And Nate, you had mentioned too about 80% of the B2B advertising online goes through LinkedIn?
The effective advertising. So the way you measure effective advertising in social media is through a number of metrics, but really the important ones that you care about are going to be how many engagements you actually get, how many potential customers actually look at whatever content you're putting out there. And of that content, or those people that follow you or like or subscribe to you actually reach out for a sales engagement, and then whether or not that sales engagement is actually successful. Hopefully you've got a process in place to capture those leads coming in, and and have your own internal process for converting them successfully. And the according to a study that a marketing firm that I'm working with told us this week, I was very shocked to hear that 80% of business-to-business marketing is actually done through successful captured leads are done through LinkedIn. I would have bet Facebook, just because it's the million-pound gorilla, has far more of a user base.
Right.
But if you think about it, it does make sense. My 15-year-old twin nephews are, not a market that I'm looking to reach out to as an IT and cybersecurity provider. They're not my target market.
Right.
So those accounts are wasted for me. So those eyeballs and the best bang for your dollar is really putting in, if you're doing business-to-business marketing, trying to find your ideal clients that are out there in your market. The focus right now should be on LinkedIn.
So if I'm a real estate business and I'm trying to grow my agent count or my office locations, that might be an idea.
Absolutely, and especially if you're trying to get potential people who so I would say real estate might be one that's a little bit more of a split, just because you are looking for, of course, other businesses that could potentially do commercial real estate deals with and potentially represent them in a sale, but also some of those commercial real estate holders are individuals as well, so that might be hit by more traditional and also there's nothing that beats, hey, I'm hiring, to all your friends on Facebook if you've got people that are on there. I found it to be an effective recruiting tool, but it's so I would say a little bit more of a split, but definitely business to business. If you're, you guys have people like, roofing companies and title companies and things like that are out there marketing to things. Those would be to consumers. But if I was trying to sell roofing supplies to a roofing company, well, now I want to go to LinkedIn. Now that's where I want to put my focus in there. especially, professional services to professional services organizations. They call that's what they mean by B2B.
Yeah, business to business. And so, Nate, your company handles that and more. You help with, give us your overall offering.
Absolutely. So what we do is we're your complete outsourced IT and cybersecurity department. Our typical client is anywhere from 5 to 100 people in a company. We have a lot of different verticals we serve, legal and financial, but we also have some crazy ones. I've got some clients that actually sell sports memorabilia online. I've got another company that makes custom ducts and gutters. Roofing companies and landscaping companies. Really, anybody who you don't have that IT expert. A lot of times you're starting your own business, you hit a certain size, and you're like, how do I go from managing what I used to do on a couple of spreadsheets here and there and a couple of simple emails to now I've got 20 employees.
Right.
How do I take that next step? And that's one of the things that we help guide companies through. We have clients that came to us when they had 5 people and have now grown into the hundreds, which is really incredible to grow with them.
Wow, that's super cool. Looking at the notes here, Disney sees better than expected streaming growth. This is from the BBC. Since launching in 2019, the number of Disney Plus subscribers has reached nearly 138 million, drawn by such hits as Marvel's Moon Knight series and Pixar movie Turning Red.
Yeah, in 1 month, when Moon Knight launched, they actually added 9. There's a couple of things that launched, but actually 9 million subscribers. Now, to give you an idea, Netflix, which is the 3,000-pound gorilla, has about 230 million subscribers.
Wow.
So Disney, with what they've now, that's very intentional. You have to remember, over the last 20 years, they've been buying up tons of properties. They bought Fox, they bought Marvel, they bought Star Wars, they bought all of these franchises that now when you buy Disney Plus, ESPN, yes,
yeah, Disney owns ESPN.
I think they have a piece of Discovery as well, and another just a whole plethora of channels. And when you get Disney Plus, it's not just the mouse and Frozen that you're getting there.
Yeah.
I invite people to check it out. I'm not a paid sponsor or anything, but it's one of the best values in streaming. I don't pay for cable. I like to select my own content.
Yeah.
And for $14 or $15 a month, boy, the library of stuff you get access to, and the cool new things that they're developing is out there. I'm a Netflix subscriber too, all things being equal.
Prime Video.
Well, Prime Video you're going to get, because who's not going to have Amazon Prime? I mean, that comes along with it. I got to get my boxes delivered to my door. It's Christmas every day.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah, that's right. So you also have a note here too. Best MS Office 365 backup solutions. This one is so it's saying back up your Office 365 Google Workspace business files and emails.
So a lot of people, most the number one platform for small businesses for email and communication and file sharing is Office 365 from Microsoft. It's out there. If you're people get used to the Microsoft suite, and it's as you graduate to a business, it's very easy just to do that. Google is another popular one with their Google Workspaces. It's their big boy version of Gmail for businesses, and those products. They're not completely foolproof, and things can happen to them. You might have somebody hack an account or delete data or something like that. It's always good to have a secondary location for that. And for a couple bucks a month, there's a number of platforms out there. Veeam is one of them. The one that we use and we recommend to our clients is a company called Datto, Datto. And what that does is you kind of sign in with an administrator account, and then everybody that works in your company, it just pipes their data over there a couple times a day. So you've got a secondary repository that's completely separate. As we know, Microsoft and Google never make a mistake or release anything bad patch or anything that causes any trouble, of course. I am being very sarcastic for those of you on the radio who can't see my face. And so, with those things, knowing that accidents can happen, it's always good knowing that you've got that peace of mind, knowing your data is always going to be there.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. All right. How can folks find you, Nate?
Check out vineit.com. That's vineit.com. And, hit our button. We're always happy to do a free consultation. And, we always try to make sure people come away with a value or a mission plan, even if they don't sign up with us.
Nice. All right. Good stuff. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely, Brandon. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir. All right, we're taking a quick break there. When we come back, we've got attorney Frank Miranda in the house, Frank Charles Miranda Law Firm, and online at fcmlaw.com. Coming up, stay with us. Don't go anywhere.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Ian Beckles here with my man Brandon Rhymes, a.k.a. the real estate quarterback. Brandon, what's happening with the market?
Thanks, Ian. Any of our listeners out there, we'll offer you a 2% listing for the first 3 callers that reach out to the hotline, 813-917-1894. Call or text the hotline, 813-917-1894. Also, a great opportunity for folks out there looking for a part-time gig, maybe a side hustle, is Keller Williams Real Estate School, powered by Kaplan. Reach out if you'd like more information on how we have a free real estate school for you, online class, get licensed, and start referring business in, or maybe make a new career. 813-917-1894, consumerqb.com for our syndicated radio and TV show on 80 outlets worldwide, consumerqb.com, or our real estate website at platinummvpteam.kw.com. That's platinummvpteam.kw.com. And please follow us online at Brandon Rhymes 1 on Instagram, Twitter, Getter, and check out our YouTube channel, Brandon Rhymes Realty. Make it a great day.
My name is James DeJerome, and I produce the Consumer Quarterback Show for Brandon Rhymes. The Consumer Quarterback Show is a team, a group of like-minded professionals who partner together to provide our audience sound advice, knowledge, and information to make them wiser consumers. We work with all types of business owners and aggressively promote our local economy. We're currently conducting interviews for our expert contributors. If you own a business or know someone who would benefit from the exposure our show provides, please contact us at 813-750-0550 or online at consumerqb.com.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, here we are, Brandon Rhymes, Consumer Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams. We got Frank Miranda in the house. Welcome in, Frank.
Hey, nice seeing you again. How
yes,
you been?
Sir. Doing great. Thank you.
How's the baby?
Oh, it's doing awesome, man. He's doing awesome. He's 4 months now. I think I just got a text. I saw something about 16 pounds and growing.
They grow fast.
Yeah, that's right.
They get expensive fast, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the food turns in from formula to all kinds of stuff. I would joke with my daughter. Sometimes we go to a restaurant. She's like, can I get the lobster, Dad? I'm like, you got expensive taste.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. So how about things on your end, man? Everything
fantastic. Good? I can't complain. You know, we just talked before we got on air about the craziness of the world, but hopefully, the United States kind of gets a little bit secured and stays secure, and everyone stays safe.
Yeah, exactly. Now, real estate wise, there's a couple of stories here to talk about. Of course, rents are up. Rent is going crazy, and rents tend to be sticky, meaning they stay high. Once they go high, they stay high. And then also, insurance is a problem here in the state of Florida. Insurance stuff is going nuts. I think some of it is related to, I don't know if they call it fraud but it's fraudulent type activities happening with the roofing companies and basically going to a homeowner and saying, hey, there was a storm. And if you send this to your insurance company, they have to pay for it. They have to get you a new roof. So there's a couple different ways to go there.
Okay, so I see the perspective of the insurance company about how you shouldn't solicit people, be able to obtain their right to file a claim, and then fix the roof. There's a couple contrary arguments to that too. One, a lot of these people are unsophisticated, and they come to a point whereby they don't know how to file a claim.
Right.
They know they have insurance, or they even may have contacted their insurer. And unfortunately, in my experiences with insurance company, it seems as though they're taught where everything is initially declined anyway. And so they're going to find a reason why you're not covered. And a lot of people go away, and they know a lot of people go away with that initial inquiry and that initial denial. If big companies did what they were supposed to do, there would be a lot less lawyers. I can tell you that. In a different regard, the fact that this is occurring in a smaller segment, meaning the state of Florida, it's a little bit, I would say, not a true reflection of how it affects the insurance company, because their risks are spread out throughout the country. Okay, so if they're having a smaller issue here in Florida because companies are doing this here, there's other ways to address it. Number one, I don't think it's hitting them as hard as they're claiming, because their risk is spread out throughout the nation. Okay, and they're collecting premiums throughout the nation. It's not just in the state of Florida.
Okay.
Also, in the state of Florida, you have to also expect that your claims are going to be higher anyway, because we're the one that get hit every year by hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
So going off the chute that roofs are going to be damaged.
Yeah.
The other thing I don't like about the insurance company when it comes to this roofing issue is you might buy a shingle that's 25 or 50 years, but in their policy, if it's older than 15, you got to replace it.
Right. Was that a recent change?
I think it's always been like that. And so they're making you spend money potentially on a product that doesn't be replaced.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why have that requirement? I mean, when I went out when I was when I owned my house, I'm like, I'm going to make this investment one time. I think I went out and bought a 35-year shingle or 50-year shingle.
Right.
But they're going to make me replace it before the manufacturer says it needs to be.
Right.
And so I never really understood that either.
Yeah, it doesn't seem right. I mean, if you got another 5 or 8 years on it, hey, let me stretch my dollar. Let me, that's freedom. I always err on the side of freedom.
Right. And the reason why they're doing that is they think that by making you put a new roof on every 15 years instead of 25 years, they're not going to get any claims.
Mm.
So they're making you spend money to keep paying for an insurance that they think you're not going to need because it keeps getting replaced sooner than you need to be replaced.
Right.
And so in a way, why are you collecting my premium?
So here's the story. I had pulled it up while we were talking about it, but it's Florida homeowners say roofers are making the deal for a new roof too good to pass up, but the real cost is falling on insurance companies and residents across the state. It comes across. Here's a quote. It says, "It comes across as, oh, I'd be foolish not to do this," said Pinellas County homeowner Adam Schwabach. An ABC Action News investigation found he was targeting by a roofing company through his personal information, and it goes on and talks about how he received this text message. So yeah, it says Governor DeSantis tried to stop this type of soliciting last year with Senate Bill 76, but due to 2 lawsuits on freedom of speech, these texts are technically legal. So anyways, it goes on and on, but yeah, I think that's part of it. There's the fraudulent activity, and then then if somebody does have to hire an attorney, now you're looking at the prevailing party. I'm assuming it's one of those deals where it's the prevailing party has to pay the other party's fees.
Correct.
So they end up saying, hey, we might as well just give them the roof rather than risking running up a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $100,000 bill.
I get how the insurance company spins it because, one, let's be honest, the less that they pay out in claims, the more money they make.
Right.
That's just a fact.
Yes.
Okay. But they're really smart in the insurance company because they know how many claims, or they can predict how many claims they're going to give in any given year. They have actuaries, and they can figure this out, and they're almost guaranteed a profit by the state of Florida. Okay, they're guaranteed a profit. You're going to make a profit. Okay. There are also secondary insurance policies that when they pay, a lot of other companies pay too because they're also insuring themselves down the road. Now, if you look at it from a different perspective, because there's always 2 sides of the story. If you really have a roof that's been damaged by some sort of storm, okay, and you never file a claim, but a roofer comes to you and says, you know what, I can replace that through your policy. Why wouldn't you do that? Okay. Now, if the fraud is we're going to go up there and we're going to make the roof, we're going to damage the roof ourselves and then make the claim, then that's fraud.
That's fraud.
That's fraud. Okay.
And if somebody had a camera on them and they saw them doing it, I mean, that's big time. You could get big time fee.
Yeah, that's fraud. But what the insurance companies, and it happened a lot with windshield replacement. So if you go windshield replacement concept, you go down the street, a rock hits your windshield. It's supposed to be no deductible to you. They just fix it because it's a safety concern.
Yep.
So what happened was windshield insurance companies were doing the same thing. Hey, and they're advertising if your windshield's cracked, we'll replace it for you free of charge.
Yep.
Well, the insurance companies got upset because companies started doing it, but they really got upset because they weren't charging what quote unquote their insurance companies were charging. So instead of $200, they're charging $600-800. Okay, and now they're saying we're paying too much for the service. Well, let's flip it around. Maybe you're paying too little for the service because you're controlling these mom and pop companies and saying it's only worth $200. So maybe someone doesn't want to do the job and make $40 profit. Maybe they think a legitimate profit's something different.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to dictate the market at a fee they want to pay. And so there's a contrary argument to this that needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
Okay. And so if you know that somebody's looking for a house, or if I know somebody's looking for an attorney, and I overhear a conversation and I give recommendations of what you can do, is that any different than knocking on someone's door saying, I think your roof needs to be replaced and it's caused by, I know a storm went through here? Is that any different? I don't know if it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
They spin it in a way that it
Right.
seems devious and it seems,
Right.
distasteful.
Yeah.
But if a storm recently came through, that's an opportunity for a roofing company.
Right.
Okay. If a bunch of people came over here from Ukraine with a ton of money wanting to buy real estate, what's wrong with approaching them saying, we can help you with real estate?
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But the way the insurance company spins stories,
Right.
I'm always skeptical.
The PR department.
I'm always skeptical, especially when the law kind of dictates that they're going to make money.
Right.
And so I'm always skeptical of how they phrase and position themselves.
That makes a lot of sense, Frank. It really
And
does.
I deal with them all the time, and they deny
Right.
75% of all the claims off the chute.
Wow.
They're not responsible.
I know some of the facts or some of the stats were staggering. I was talking to Doug Levi on the show a week or two ago. He's our insurance specialist, insurance quarterback here on the show, and he was talking about something. The stat was something like 85% of all litigation, homeowners insurance litigation or something along those lines, happened in the state of Florida, and it was a staggering number.
I would question that.
Not sure. I mean,
yeah,
not sure
I would
where that
question
stat
the
came
validity
from.
of that number. That sounds incredibly high.
Yeah.
That sounds almost unbelievable.
Well, I think it has something to do with, where a lot of these companies are based at, so something along those lines. Maybe they're claiming it here. And then it had, something. I have to research that and see exactly what that was. But we're talking with Frank Miranda here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Frank is a local attorney, owns a title company here in Tampa Bay as well. He's got a great team over there. So if you're selling a property for sale by owner or just looking for a great title company to work with right here in Tampa Bay, he's centrally located on Cypress Avenue in Tampa. He's got a great staff. Stephanie and the whole team over there are just so sweet. They do a great job service-wise. So Frank, real estate-wise, rents are up. We're talking a lot about the market. Of course, it's low inventory. We've talked about that a lot. The opportunities, there are opportunities. What do you think are some of the opportunities right now for folks?
Everything's driven, and there's so many factors involved, right? You're talking about even like the U.S. economy, but we're getting really affected by a lot of different things. You're coming off COVID. You're coming off, potential war, what's going on in Europe. There's supply chains affecting everything. The cost of money, interest rates are going up like crazy.
Yep.
So now what you can qualify for is a little bit less. If you're determined to live in a certain area for, I think longer than 2 years or 3 years, it's still worth buying something.
Yeah.
If you're not going to move quickly, meaning in a 24-month window, in the long term, you're going to make money on your property. You're investing in yourself. You're going to get, even if you broke even, you're going to get some money back, right? So if you stayed there for 5-6 years, you're going to sell all those payments you made. Effectively, if you sold it for the same exact price, you're going to get some money back on the deal because you're going to lower your mortgage payment. You're going to lower the amount, the payoff on the mortgage. So what's tough is finding that particular piece of property. So when there's so much demand, just like in the housing market, how do rents go up? The only reason why rents go up is because there's more people that want the unit than there's units available. Okay, and then it can raise the price, right? And you raise the price high enough, you match 1-to-1, and finally, that's how rents get so high.
Yeah.
If there's 50% occupancy, rents are going to be lower because they want to fill those units.
Exactly.
So it's a simple supply and demand concept. If there's less supply, you're going to have to pay more. So the deal is, to be honest, trying to find a fair market price property, and fair market is relative. That's relative to what the expenses are. So what's fair today wasn't fair, 3 years ago. Prices are definitely higher. I don't see them coming down significantly in this area because so many people are moving here.
Yeah, exactly.
And, they're coming with cash. And even though interest rates have gone up, in historical terms, 5% is pretty good.
Yeah, you're still at a great rate.
Yeah. I remember they were routinely 8.5%.
Yep. I remember that back in the day.
So I think we're right in the middle, and I think 5%, even though it's people are going crazy over it, it's a great deal. At one point we had interest rates at 18% in the 70s.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
And so when you put it into historical perspective, 5% is pretty strong still.
Yeah, still what if it's not a 40-year low? It was not a 40-year low like it was. It's a 30-year low or a 20-year low, right?
You're still done a great deal.
We got about a half a minute left, Frank. How do you want folks to engage with you? Where can people find you?
Internet is fine. My website is www.fcmlaw.com. My internet email address is frank@fcmlaw.com. Our phone number is 813-254-2637. feel free to contact us. We're happy to ask and answer some questions people have off the shoot. A lot of times, people come see me the other day. I'm like, you don't need litigation. You need to work this out with your landlord.
Right.
And so we're not going to just jump into litigation if it's not going to benefit you.
Yeah, just a good old-fashioned conversation, right? Hey, let's talk.
To tell you the truth.
Let's sit down and talk. That's right. All right, Frank Miranda, FCMlaw.com. Thank you very much for coming in. We want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another and be a force for good in the community. And we'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Make sure you check out our website, consumerqb.com. Follow us online at Brandon Rhymes 1 on Instagram, Twitter, and Getter, and YouTube as well. Subscribe to the podcast as well. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call Brandon Rhymes at 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show.